LGBTQ in Africa dark truth.
You can't put up with their nonsense because nobody concentrates so much on homosexuals. Nobody is hunting them. But because they come and want to force us to say homosexuality, oh yeah.
Mr. Young, so thank you for the question. First of all, we don't have any such legislation here in Ghana. A bill has been proposed to the Parliament of Ghana, which has all kinds of ramifications, which is now being considered by the Parliament. It hasn't been passed.
And my statement was clear. It was in response to the opening of an LGBTQ plus advocacy office in Ghana in January. That was supported by members of the diplomatic corps.
So you want to make it difficult for anybody to live an open, free life because of who they love in Ghana, and you want them to go to jail for 10 years. You're happy with that?
Well, you haven't read my bill.
This is the LGBTQ in Africa analysis. The world has become a complex place to live in. Individuals, communities, and even countries have developed opinions on how to live, what is right, what is wrong, and more interestingly, even trying to guide how others need to live. It is against this backdrop that we have seen increasing volume over the years with regards to countries accepting rights of LGBTQ communities, that is, the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and the queer. And of course, this acronym has been evolving depending on additions to the original acronym, notwithstanding. The conversation around LGBTQ rights, acceptance, etc. has been a hard nut to crack on the continent of Africa. And to make the situation more complicated, looks like the Western media and Western leaders have been deliberate about getting African presidents and leaders to pronounce their stance on this segment of the population. This approach, whether good or bad intended, has been meeting resistance and provoking thoughts each and every time. There are common themes across this video and conversations, and I'm going to summarize for you 3 common themes, what these mean from the face of it, what it means from a deeper angle, and also what it means from acceptance angle of all these. The very first theme is a theme whereby West media should stop imposing on Africans what is right and wrong. Africa states are sovereign. That is one cross-cutting theme. When we listen carefully to these videos, the loudest unspoken theme is that Africa is sovereign. Africa decides what it wants for its people. No agenda can be imposed to subvert the African people culture and practices by any Western media house or Western nation. From the face of it, it might seem like some leaders in Africa are against LGBTQ rights. But the truth is, over years, there has been tendency of Western media and nations to act like the world's watchdog. But ironically, they rarely see the log in their own eyes. For example, why haven't Western countries condemned the month-long protests and police brutality happening in France? Had exact same things been happening in any African country, most of the Western nations and even multilaterals out there could have condemned that infringement on human rights with the strongest terms possible, right? And then the second theme, which runs across all those videos you've watched, is that Africa culture and practices need to be respected. And by the way, this second theme, which actually crosscuts all those experts, is the need to respect Africa culture and practices. For example, let's take a look at, for example, a practice like polygamy, which has been in practice in a good number of African nations since time immemorial. But with the rise of Christianity and of course around the time of colonization, different denominations and so forth, Western countries started condemning polygamy over the years, and of course it has been fading a bit owing to Christianity and also condemnation from the Western nations. But how comes homosexuality, for example, has never been condemned really in equal measures, which actually speaks volumes, and yet the same Anchorage, which is the holy book, is very clear with regards to such kind of act when it comes to sexuality? That is another food for thought. And then a third theme, which also crosscuts all those excerpts you've watched, is that people should keep their sexuality to themselves. Africa's views on sexuality are quite different from what the Western culture looks like and also what the Western media portrays. And guys, this third point is actually an undertone in each of these speakers' voices. Sexuality in Africa is not expressed as it is in Western countries. In fact, in most African countries, sexual relationships are private affairs and display of affection is mostly private, unless for just those commonly agreed consensus, like for example, people who are close to each other hugging in public and so forth. But most of the sexuality elements are private in the content of Africa. And with that, a good number of African leaders are truly confused. To some extent, yes, because they are wondering, what problem will they commenting on LGBTQ matter solve really? A clear undertone is that sexual practice is nevertheless private. Why should one declare their sexuality in public? And when they do so, for what end goal? That is actually what is also lingering in these leaders' minds. In fact, such constant questions are unfortunate and are even painting or planting ideas into African leaders' minds to assist them, in fact, shape or even ring-fence their nations with regards to what they deem wrong or right, since what is right is known and practiced without constant reminder. Guys, that is another food for thought. And with all these, and also you having gotten the background, we need to understand that different African countries actually look at all this matter differently from different lenses. And of course, different nations are pulling from the contrary sides. Some are supporting, others are totally against it. For example, a country like South Africa is very clear with regards to LGBTQ community enjoying their rights, just like other people out there. And in fact, this is legally recognized in the country with regards to all parameters, even the age of consent. On the other hand, a country like, for example, Uganda had, in fact, their parliament pass a law which effectively outlawed LGBTQ kind of sexual relations in the country. And anyone found engaging in such practices is bound to face the tough hand of the law, with even death penalty being on the menu. As you can see, different countries in Africa and different leaders see this agenda from different lenses, all with their own justification and rightfully so in their jurisdiction. I personally think to each their own. People's identities and orientations are their private matters, and we all need to live harmoniously and respect each other's public spaces. Thank you, and I look forward to share with you other videos which are going to provoke your thoughts and get you sharing your opinion. With that, comment down below. Let's continue discussing in the comment section.